The online world is obsessed with being nonchalant. Those who make it are praised, and those who are trying are called cringe. I think this idea has really always been around. Kids always said that the smart ones care too much about grades, that the theater kids are annoying, and those who post on social media are trying too hard. But when you take a look behind the facade of cool and nonchalant, it's truly just fear and insecurity being disguised as not caring. Because in my opinion, the coolest thing you can do is care. To work towards your goals and not be afraid of failing, to love hard and not be afraid of rejection. Why do we shame those for working towards something that we never even had the confidence to try in the first place? Welcome to Touching Grass, your digital escape from all the noise. My name is Sophia, and this podcast is all about taking a step back and looking at online trends with some nuance, providing empathetic and grounded takes on the human experience and trying to help you guys just reclaim your own perspective. Today, I want to talk about the trend of nonchalant and being cool, and how in a way that's just disguising a lot of insecurities that we have, and how trying is the greatest thing that you can do for yourself. My cousin is in middle school and he's obsessed with being nonchalant. He always wants me to take pictures of him where he poses in a nonchalant way. And this kid's personality is the opposite of nonchalant. He's chalant, okay? If chalant was a word, he'd be the definition. And I told him that. He's a kid, so insecurities are normal. He's so worried about what people will think, what people will say about him trying. He barely even wanted to learn how to ride a bike because he thought it was embarrassing for people to watch him fall. Mind you, it was just family around. But the kid dreams big. He wants to cure cancer and travel the world. But that's not nonchalant. And I told him, if you want to do all of that, you need to learn to not be embarrassed by trying. Look, I get the whole nonchalant thing is a trend, but success does not come from being cool. It comes from being cringe, from being misunderstood, from being judged, and doing it anyways. I still feel awkward every time I record a podcast episode. I hate the idea of people watching me fail, but success does not come without failure. And someone could say that I'm trying too hard for someone who only has 50 subscribers. And if you're building something too, you've probably felt this. But when I think about the idea of being called a tryhard, I'm like, yeah, thank you for noticing. I put so many hours into my podcast every week, and I could be embarrassed and worried about being called a tryhard for only having 50 subscribers. Or I can think I got to 50 subscribers because I tried hard, and I'm so thankful for every person who noticed and cared. Because you can't learn without failing. We live in a time where we praise those who made it, but hate on those who are trying to make it. But what do you think it looked like when they first started? Think about school. Doing well in school wasn't about being a natural. It was about learning, studying, trying, failing, and trying again. And if you weren't already good, you never got good if you never tried. And not just in school, but with sports, art, career. There is nothing cooler than not caring what anyone else thinks. Nothing cooler than working towards your dreams. Trying to make something of yourself. To stop trying to find shortcuts and actually putting in the effort it takes to become successful. There's nothing cooler than becoming the version of yourself that you always saw in your head. Because every moment of cringe, each piece of judgment, you get closer to the version of yourself that you want to be. I remember in high school having someone tell me that I care too much about grades. But in college, no one said that when my grades got me scholarships I didn't even apply for. No one said that when I graduated top of my class, got into a prestigious grad school that paid me a large merit-based fellowship. This isn't to brag because I've failed far more than I've ever succeeded and I still have no idea what I'm doing with my life. But I do know that trying has gotten me farther in life than trying to be cool ever has. It's so easy to hold yourself back because you're afraid of what others will say. And I've unfortunately done this too. But the fear of what others think is keeping from the opportunities you dream about. People who are hating are usually projecting because they do not have the guts to try. Because you don't need to understand someone's goals to respect them. But you also don't need others' support to start. Because when you don't get the support, you'll never try, and then you'll end up in the same place as them. The same. Without growing, without knowing if you could have built the life of your dreams had you just started. I look back at so much that I wanted to do and didn't because I was afraid. Sometimes it's stuff as small as not wanting to sing karaoke because you don't want people to think you sound bad. And sometimes it's things like in middle school, I always wanted to post on YouTube, but I always pushed it off. I wonder how much I could have learned and where I could be now had I just started posting and not been embarrassed. You have no idea what your life could look like had you just tried. But it's not too late. Because you can still start. The concept of being nonchalant comes from not caring. But are you really nonchalant if you have to try to be? If you do it in order to not be judged or to be perceived in a certain way? Those who try to not care tend to be the ones who care the most. So if you're gonna care anyways, care in a way that changes your life. Care enough to give yourself a chance to try. And this isn't just about careers, it's also about relationships. We guard ourselves emotionally from being seen failing. And we also don't want to fail at love. So people don't want to be the first to catch feelings, the first to text, and they act as if they're fine either way. But you're not fine. You just pretend to be. And if you are fine, It's because you're choosing to feel surface level rather than experience the intense feelings that life throws at you. This false narrative of not caring encourages others to put on the same face. It's a form of protection, the battle to care less so that you are less likely to feel hurt. But hurt doesn't just come in the form of heartbreak. It also comes from never having deep connections, from feeling isolated, alone, and misunderstood, not having genuine people in your life because you weren't genuine either. The reality is it's cool to care. It's incredible to love and be capable of heartbreak and pain because it means you're alive. It means you tried. Trying gives you experiences. It's the fuel to life. You deny yourself a life well lived every time that you avoid something due to the fear of failing or the fear of loss. Life is not meant to be lived on the surface. You are not meant to be a background character in your own movie. Because when you don't care, when you don't try, you allow an audience to control your narrative rather than write it yourself. You will choose to not form deep connections so they don't judge you. You won't work towards your goals so they don't think you're cringe. You'll never try something new so they don't tell you you're bad at it. So ask yourself, who are you living for? If you only spend time doing activities that you think are socially acceptable, you will never be truly happy. This concept is so much more than just having a cool feed. Performing your life can touch every aspect of your own. Working a job you hate because you never took a risk. Never trying at a hobby you could have been great at. Following a structure of life that is satisfying to others but not to you. One day you'll wake up and have no idea whose life you're living. Because those insecurities, they don't go away just because others can't see them. You will carry them everywhere you go, and eventually, a new feeling will join them. Regret. Regret for the life you never lived and the time you'll never get back. For the love you refuse to feel and the connections you never worked hard enough to get. You'll feel lonely because nobody actually knows you. You'll feel like nobody sees you because you never showed them. And you'll look in the mirror and no longer know who you are because a performance will be staring back at you. But the good news is, you're not alone in these feelings. We've all been afraid of being seen failing. I didn't text my friends for months because I was afraid of explaining why I was still unemployed. I didn't want to be seen as a failure. Just for me to finally reach out and them tell me that they were feeling equally as lost. And when you realize that as humans, at some point we all have the same feelings, but although different things cause them, we're all still feeling the same feelings, that's when you'll start to feel free. Because then all of a sudden it's not cringe to try. It's brave to do what others were too embarrassed to even start. It's cool to love because others weren't even willing to take the risk. And there's no feeling more incredible than investing in yourself first. Because once you reach the outcome you were looking for, you won't even remember why you were so afraid to be seen. You'll be so successful that people don't even have the choice but to see you as the version of yourself that you always knew you could be. But that type of success and that type of becoming into oneself, it doesn't come from a lack of care. It comes from putting yourself out there for yourself, no matter what others say. So make the jump, take the risk. They're gonna talk anyway, so you might as well give them something good to talk about. And maybe one day, instead of judging, you'll be the inspiration. Instead of calling you cringe, they'll ask you how you did it. And you can look back and say, I made it because I wasn't afraid to try. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of Touching Grass. Once again, my name is Sophia. If you guys want more episodes analyzing social media trends, trying to give you guys a grounded and empathetic and always nuanced takes on all the things that we hear online, you guys can subscribe here on YouTube. My podcast is also on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, really wherever you guys want to listen. I would love to hear you guys' take on this subject, so please leave comments. I will engage with everyone. I love talking to you guys in the comments, so please do that. Give this a thumbs up, and I post every Tuesday. So until next time.